to go back just a little bit before that, after I left high school, I went to college and I joined the Air Force Reserve Officer Training Corps, ROTC, at the university. And going through 4 years of the university, actually, I went to the College of St. Thomas up in St. Paul, Minnesota. Upon graduating, I got my commission as a second lieutenant in the Air Force. And then 10 months later, I got orders to report to Vance Air Force Base in Enid, Oklahoma. So that's where I went through my 1 year undergraduate pilot training, as we call it, in the United States Air Force. Got my wings, finished at the top of the class, and luckily got my second choice. My first choice was an F-15, but in my class, no F-15s were awarded. So at the time, the F-15 was about 4 years old, been out 4 years, and there weren't very many of them coming down to pilot training classes. So I got my second choice, which is an F-4 Phantom, which I was elated about. So got my wings, went on to check out in the F-4 Phantom. So I flew F-4 Cs, Ds, and E model Phantoms. My first operational assignment was with the 18th Tactical Fighter Wing in Okinawa, Japan, at Kadena Air Base. So I spent a year and a half there, and then I requested to go on to stay in the Western Pacific, and I wanted to go fly the F-4E model Phantom. That was up at Osan Air Base in Korea. And the unique thing about that was the 36th Tactical Fighter Squadron that I went to at Osan. It was the last remaining F-4E Air Superiority Squadron in the entire Air Force. And I knew if I wanted to get good at air-to-air, having come from an air-to-ground unit at Kadena, I really needed to go someplace, well, that's all they did. So I went on to Osan in the 36, which is the F-4E model. And then out of there, I was selected to be a U.S. Air Force Aggressor pilot, flying the F-5E. So after I left Osan, back to Nellis Air Force Base for a 5-month checkout in the F-5E, and then back to the Western Pacific to Clark Air Base in the Philippines. And I spent a year and a half there as an aggressor, flying F-5s as an adversary against all our frontline fighters, whether it be F-15s at back up at Kadena, F-4s and F-16s in Korea, or there at Clark in the Philippines. So a lot of experience in the F-5E over the year and a half. And then I was selected to go to the Red Eagles, which we can probably get into more. I won't get ahead of yourself a little bit here, but that's what I did. And after flying the MiG-21 and MiG-23 for 3 years in the Red Eagles at Nellis Air Force Base, actually located up at Tonopah Test Range, then I was selected, and I got my F-15 then, and then went on to fly 4 more years active duty in the 1st Tactical Fighter Wing at Langley Air Force Base, where I flew F-15C models in the air superiority role.
What was it like flying the F-5 in that aggressor role? That must have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, the F-5E in the aggressor role was it's almost a dream come true for a young fighter pilot, because you're flying an extremely agile, forgiving, easy to fly airplane, but yet in a very demanding mission, which is dissimilar air combat training, with whether it be F-15s, F-4s, F-16s, or what have you. A very, very great airplane to fly, and you really got to hone your skills in the air-to-air mission flying that airplane. So just incredibly, I would say of all the assignments I had, that had to be right up there near the top of the best assignments you could ever have.
And did you ever work with the RAF or any British nations, or was it strictly US only in this aggressor role?
In the aggressor role, when I was in the Pacific, well, there were no Brits over there. We did fly a few times with, we had Kiwis come up from Auckland, and then we also flew with some Aussies. They came up from Butterworth, I believe, down in Malaysia, but they were flying Mirage 3s at the time. The Kiwis are still flying there. I believe they were flying A4Ks. But so that was about the only opportunity we had to fly with any of the Commonwealth countries at that time.